Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Alright, so we're sitting in the pit lane here at Road America. We're going to do kind of a recreation of an event I did, well, at this point it's a couple weeks ago, but driving a not track-worthy vehicle. So what I did a couple weeks ago was what they call a sunset cruise, where they allow you to bring, they're far less restrictive on the types of vehicles. You pay about it's $25 US. After all the taxes and fees, it came out to be $31 to get on the track, and they lead you around behind a pace car, and they try to keep you to a relatively reasonable speed. But they would never let you drive a truck normally at speed on a racetrack like this for liability reasons. It's very not a performance vehicle, so a lot of times on track days they'll let you pay and you sign all your waivers and everything, but they generally don't want top heavy vehicles like this driving around. So, but for the Sunset Cruise, since it is speed limited, as long as you have a half a tank of gas, your vehicle is less than 8 feet tall. Apparently I'm blocking the Chevelle behind me here. So they let me drive could possibly be the least track-worthy car that track has ever seen. I'll throw some pictures up. Show my rusty old Dodge was actually there. I do have access to a few other cars that I could have, feasibly used. But, well, this is the vehicle I drive every day, so thought. And it's kind of funny, because I was driving along the side of $100,000 cars, and I'm driving a $3,000 rusty pickup, so don't let your lack of money or lack of equipment just stop you from doing something like this. Like, it was extremely fun. Like, it was very interesting to actually be at a track like this, and just the people there doing, I was kind of an oddity, given I wasn't the only truck there, but I was definitely had the most questionable vehicle of them all. There was a Ford Raptor and a god-awful Cybertruck there, and also a Jeep, like a Jeep Wrangler, maybe CJ. I don't know Jeeps, but so we're just gonna do a couple laps, kind of lot of BMWs and Mercedes there. So then we're going to do this in Assetto Corsa, just so I can drive something similar to the truck that I drive. This is a newer truck than mine. It's also the 2500 version. I've got the 1500 version, or the half-ton version. But effectively, they're very similar. But we weren't driving at speed, so. But I got to. It's almost like one of those unique car track combos that people will do, like driving the transit van around the Nordschleife. Not to that level, but still. Because I was, liability reasons, they don't want you going that fast. And, I'm just some random guy off the street. We did get to actually drive on the track and, take my truck through the carousel and through Canada Corner. So I also set up a camera. I am going to put the full lap at the end of the video, or a full lap. We did several laps, but I've been on track at a couple of tracks for things kind of like this. Like they do a bus tour at Indianapolis that I did. I've also driven real race cars on track of the dirt variety.
Yep, that's me. You're...
But actually being on track at a venue like this is interesting. I mean, so it was a trip across Wisconsin. I am not from Wisconsin. There's not a lot around Road America. The closest big city is Green Bay. I did not go to Green Bay in this trip, but I have been there. It's relatively close to, Lake Michigan. But it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right at that line between the forests and Dairyland. So you see a lot of highway signs that just say cheese on them. It's probably a very Wisconsin only kind of thing. Literally, there's just signs that just say, they look like gas station signs, ones that are really tall along the side of the interstate, and it just says cheese. That's it. There's an odd mix of people there. You had the sports car guys, lots of Corvettes there, a bunch of different years of Corvettes there. There are also some guys with their BMWs and Audis. Couple of tuner type cars. I couldn't even tell you what they were because they were debadged. Oh. This is why they don't want you to, guy like me to do. You just kind of slide off the track. So when they get you there, they give you a driver's meeting, which one of the guy that's leading the entire thing, he was leading my group around, kind of gave you the rules and how the event would go. tried to make the joke of, hey, everybody's here for the off-road event, and I'm probably the most off-road capable vehicle of all of them. Maybe the Raptor is a little bit better than mine, but and maybe that Jeep was, but definitely not the Cybertruck. And then they told you the rules to keep the speeds down. You're not supposed to hang back. You're not supposed to get more speed in the straightaways. You're supposed to stay off the curbs. I didn't follow that rule. I mean, you kind of have to, right? Apparently they'll set off airbags, according to the guy, but my truck's such a junker, I don't even know if it has any airbag in it. Maybe just stuffed in a pillowcase for all I know. But they were like, stay off the curb, stay off the grass. Then they gave us a few horror stories about people who, you know, hung back or did the, I want to go fast because, you know, it is a racetrack, so it's ironic because I drove all the way there. It was quite a few hours for me to drive to get there, but I was driving faster on the highway than I was on the racetrack. It was a bit ridiculous to see my truck staged next to Mazda Miatas and Porsches and BMWs. And there's just one rusty dump truck of a Dodge Ram, so. Well, the Road America was resurfaced in 2022, so it was very smooth. And the facility is actually really nice there. Like I've been to a couple racetracks. I mean, Indianapolis was obviously had the most. Yeah, their facilities were top notch, but you know, for I mean, Road America is kind of what is it, a FIA grade 2? I mean, IndyCar is the biggest thing that races there, so. And, like, MotoGP, I think. But they have updated since, like, the sim has, since all these sim tracks have been made. Most it's just, you know, like visual. Try not to run that guy off the road. One of the biggest differences is this bridge that's coming up here is not a pedestrian bridge anymore. It's a full-on. So off to the left is the entrance to the main. There's a parking lot right over there, and the main paddock is right to our right there. And there is a vehicle bridge now there in place of that pedestrian bridge. When we came onto track, we entered right here on this little offshoot on the left, because we staged kind of over by those little grandstands you saw off to the left. There's just a big grassy area they probably use for auxiliary parking during like IndyCar weekends. But we staged over there. It's a fairly long track. Yeah, so when we did this, we were there. I was there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I got there early. The people at the track were very amused by my ride. Got a couple comments on it. More about the stuff on my dash than anything else. You'll see it in the onboard footage. The onboard footage is not good. It was just recorded on my phone, so, you know. Don't expect high quality there, but... So if you do end up going to Road America during one of these race weekends, you're gonna have to drive a little bit to get to like a hotel. I drive about 35 minutes, 40 minutes to a hotel. There's not a lot next to the track. There is a couple of places you can rent like little cabins next to the track if you got the money for it, but I was trying to keep this to a reasonable amount, which the entire total was not reasonably priced because of the price of fuel currently is outrageous, but so then after this little test day thing we're doing here, while I just ramble on about the experience of the Sunset Cruise, we're going to do a single lap in each of the sims in the same car to compare the different tracks. I don't know, control your variables, you know. So we'll be doing it in Assetto Corsa, this track in particular. If I remember, I'll leave a link to who made it down below. But I had to find a car that I had in all of the I'm going to do iRacing, Assetto Corsa, and AMS2, and the only one that was the same through those three sims is Brazilian stock cars. I mean, I've got GT4s and GT3s in both, but not the right... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I already bought this track specifically for iRacing, just for this. I did not own it beforehand. I didn't have a particularly high opinion of Road America. I didn't have a bad opinion. It was kind of definitely a mid-tier track, but so I did not own it in iRacing. So I did buy it specifically for this. So they're worth the $15 they charge you for them? I'll get to that in the iRacing lab. And I wasn't going to buy like a special car just to do this because, you know, I just spent way too much money just driving out here to do this Sunset Cruise experience. But yeah, you get to hang out beforehand and talk to the other people there, and I got to watch some, they were doing a Porsche day. When I was there, so we got to see some Porsches running around on there. It wasn't like it was like a practice, like club racing kind of stuff. They weren't actually doing a race when I was there, but they were driving at speed. Yeah, so if you look off to the left up here, right up past these campers, like right over there. Where we see all those little tents and stuff, that's where we staged. So we weren't in the paddock itself, and they did bring the series photographer out, or the track photographer out, so I did spend almost as much to get a photo of my truck on the track as I did actually showing up there. There is one thing that I do have to mention on this. This is probably going to be the last lap in this little this test day or track day thing. It's coming up right here on the right. It's that guy right there, that portable toilet. When I was driving around the track, I was disappointed that it wasn't there. But it turns out there's actually a Marshall station that was blocking it. It is in fact there. Because I use that as a braking reference on this track. It is not present in all of the sim versions of it. So if you ever have the opportunity to go to one of these kind of cruises, even if you don't have like a performance car, it is definitely worth it if you're interested in racing. It's just the experience of actually getting to be on track is interesting. I wasn't going nearly this fast, but you know, you can kind of get the feel for what it's like, and just the being on track, even if you are just putting around at 30 or 40 miles an hour, is definitely worth the price of admission. Was it worth all the money I spent in fuel to get there? That I'm not sure about. So if you hang around, you'll see the comparison laps from the different sims, from 3 different sims, and the and the actual onboard of my actual truck. So if you want to see that, I guess just stick around. I'm just going to pull into this. Alright, on to our live lap of Road America in AMS2 in the stock car. So the Brazilian version from 2019. So overall, this track it feels very similar. However, they did repave this track, and this scan was from before it was resurfaced. Overall, though, the track feels very similar. In a road kart, you can't tell the difference really, but the surface is way more uniform. The trackside objects are probably the most accurate here in AMS2. They seem to really take pride in their graphical accuracy. Yeah, but some of the bumps aren't in the actual track anymore. They would have been during their scan, and some of the trackside details have changed. Overall, this is probably the closest looking to the real world track. Even if the surface is a little outdated, some of the trackside objects are a little outdated as well. overall it drives very similar. But it does have the quick trip signs, which are there in real life, and it is a kind of a cultural touchstone for people living in Wisconsin. So overall, excellent representation of the track. Alright, so our live lap here at Road America with the Brazilian stock car. Take it easy. Now, I've done a few laps in all the sims for this combo. This is by far the most difficult. The Brazilian stock cars are not easy to drive, but they're also not hard to drive. They're kind of... But this one is very difficult to hang on to. So we're braking a little earlier than we would in any of the other sims. The track itself, this mod is, I think, actually great value for your non-existent money for this one. For something that's available for free to download. This mod is actually top tier, you know. It has older track data. I don't think that they would have had access to like scan data for this. The one thing that I will say though is the curves are a little bit pronounced here. They aren't that big in real life. They may have something to do with the reprofiling and repaving that they did in 2022, but for what you pay, this is an excellent track. Very, very closer to the real life than it has a right to be, so very good. Alright, so on to our live lap for Road America and iRacing. We need to answer the question, is it worth the $14.95 I paid for it? Ignore the gravel in the track from my out lap. So they did laser scan this track. Kind of iRacing's signature, you know, move towards accuracy. However, the track was resurfaced in 2022, so yeah, I mean, the track itself is the same, but so the geometry of the track seems correct, very similar to real life. However, the trackside objects, if you pay close attention, are not the most accurate. There's a few things that are kind of in the wrong spot or painted the wrong color or whatever. But, you know, the track itself drives like it should, so... And we're talking really nitpicky things, you know. Oops, don't need to downshift there. So the track surface itself is very good in iRacing. The little details on the sides, like if you're really getting nitpicky, are probably not the most accurate. But the real question is, and of course they're missing the quick trip sign. So, is it worth $14.95? Not really. Then again, what iRacing track is, so it's good, but not perfect.
America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, 14 corners and my hands won't quit. IndyCar scream, sports cars bite the curb, moto racing, I live for the slip. After kink, I lean in harder, carousel spins me round and round. Canada corner, late break, keep it tidy, one more lap, then the whole place shouts, real or simulated, I want it anyway.
I like what you got. Good job.